Fire Emblem game franchise, refresher units have been kind of a staple since Mystery of the Emblem, meaning that there are only about 2 games in its entire series and catalog that do not have a dancing or a singing refresher unit. Those games are, well, Shadow Dragon and Echoes of Valentia. The first 2 games, I know one is a remake, but like, you understand. The first 2 games of this franchise. Ever since, we have had one, at least, dancer in every single game. Mystery of the Emblem had Fina. Genealogy of the Holy War had Sylvia, Lean, and Layla. Thracia 776 had Layla, which you can promote her through a special chapter. And also, like, Homer, and I know he's a bard class, but like they all talk about how like they use music, and then the bard class eventually evolved into a dancing class. So Homer and Faye as a dancer went. Binding Blade had Lorum. Ninian, Elfin, and Nils were in Blazing Blade. Sacred Stones had Tethys. Path of Radiance had Rayson. Radiant Dawn had Rayson again, but he also brought in Leanne and Raphael. Olivia was the Star of Awakening. Fates had the Queen of All, Azura. 3 houses, you could literally choose anyone to be your dancer and your refresher. And then Engage, our latest game, we had Seedal. It is evident that refresher units are a staple of how Fire Emblem functions. There's not the same amount of dancers as there are staff units or sword units or whatever, but it is a core component of the original baseline games. I wanted to preface this whole video with that, so that you guys know that dancers are meaningful. And I know I am going to just default to saying dancers because technically they are refresher units because some have sing, some have play, you know. So I'm just going to default to dancers just to cover my bases. But dancers have a key role in the history of Fire Emblem. And I believe that Fire Emblem Heroes is not doing that justice. Fire Emblem Heroes is not showing the care and love that dancers do deserve. As of right now, as of recording, there are 55 dancer units in this game. That's quite a lot. But let me break it down for you just a little bit. 28 of those 55 dancers are seasonal units. 6 of them are legendaries or mythic units. 3 of them are rearmed or attuned heroes, meaning 37 out of 55 are limited time characters. Majority of these seasonal dancers as well are rather old. They came from a time when heroes cared about dancers. They put out dancer banners. They really wanted to show their importance, but they are old. So we take all of those limited time dancers, put them in the limited time bin. Okay? You can only get them when they're on a banner. The ones that you can get, regardless of what's on the banner right now, there are 18 that you can get just whenever. 5 of them are Grail units. So you can spend some Grails, build them up. Woo! The other 13 are normal pool dancers that you can summon at any time. But I want you to take a moment and think, what do those 18 dancers that I can get at any time do? Well, yes, they dance, but what else? Only one of the normal pool units have a unique dance, which is Fallen Indian. And let's not talk about that because Fallen banners are meant to be very strong and kind of chaotic. All of the other dancers that are easily attainable, and honestly, most of the seasonals, just refresh another unit. Sure, you can modify that with, giving them Flood Dance or a seal for that. But that's it. That's all they can do. There is no inheritable dances. There are no other mechanics that you can use. There is just dance. I acknowledge that some of you might be sitting, well, hey, Pruitii, if you want a dancer, why not just go get some of the exclusive ones? Why not just get, Peony and Triandra in their new attuned forms? why not just use them? I can use them. I can. But their existence proves a vital point that I will be making in this video. That intelligent systems both hate dancers and they don't know what to do with them. So let me guide you on this journey of telling you why dancers are so underappreciated despite being in the broad eye of, heroes right now. The first thing I want to point out is weapon refines. We all know them, we all love them. Weapon refines have been in the game since, I think it was 2017 is when they were introduced, right? Oh, no, 2018, yes, because the game came out in 2017. Weapon refines came out the year later. Since then, about every month, we've been having about, between 4 to 6 characters getting weapon refines, bringing some of the older units that were in the game closer to modern standards, because as a gacha game, it evolves, it grows, the meta changes. Since weapon refines has been introduced, there hasn't been a single dancer that has gotten a weapon refine that hasn't been a mythic or a legendary. No normal pool dancers, none of the old seasonals, not even heroic grail units. I want to bring up 4 kind of big stars of the ones that have gotten snubbed from weapon refines and prove to you that they are being ignored. It's not because, they have their own method of picking. No, they are intentionally being ignored. Let's start with the queen of all dancers, Azura. Specifically, base Azura. She was introduced in the game pretty much at its beginning. She has, Sapphire Lance as her weapon, right? Woo. She, along with Sakura, and I will say my side note about Sakura in a moment, are the only Fates Royals that have not gotten a weapon refine. Every other Fates Royal has gotten their weapon refine. The latest of which has been Takumi, I think, June 2021. I looked up all of the dates of when these guys came out with their weapon refines, so some of them might be incorrect. But female Corrin, July 2020. Male Corrin, May 2018. Elise, November 2020. Leo, March 2018. Camilla, May 2018. Xander, May 2021. Takumi, obviously, who I just mentioned. Hinoka, January of 2018. Ryoma, May of 2021. Azura, the character that is featured on all of the promotional content for Fates, one of the literal main characters in that game, does not have a weapon refine? Isn't that weird? It's also weird that Sakura hasn't gotten one, but as well as dancers, intelligent systems seems to have a gripe against healers. And I hear you, all of you healer fans, in your pain as well. But this video isn't talking about healers. I want you to know that I do hear your pain, because healers are very underappreciated and undervalued as well. So the fact that Azura hasn't gotten a refine stands out. It doesn't have to be broken to the level of her legendary or her Hatari form. Honestly, if she had gotten a refine back in 2018, it was probably old by now, but that would have showed that they actually cared about a dancer. The next kind of ding for weapon refines is, the Adrift banner. So we're talking about Azura some more. The Adrift banner came out in 2018 in November. So the Adrift banner was literally a banner focused around Azura. Everyone on that banner was wearing clothes that reminisce of Azura. The story was about Azura. Azura was the Tempest Trials unit, meaning anyone could build her. She was the star of that banner. Which, side note, I love the Adrift banner so much. I love the concept. I love the execution. The only thing I don't love was the timing of it. I feel like if it came out when it wasn't like face fatigue, we would be seeing more banners like this, more unique concepts where it's exploring a character's inner depth and having, you know, special stories tying back to the games. Like, I feel like if it came out at a different time, things would be so different. Anyways, everyone on the Adrift banner got a refine. Makes sense because, you know, they are kind of special normal pool units, and they were just kind of in the line of things to be refined. The Corans got theirs January in 2022. Camilla got hers the following month in February, and Makoto finished it off in March. But what about small Azura? Sure, she wasn't a featured character on the banner. She's a Tempest Trials unit, aka a Grail unit. Maybe she got skipped because of that. Well, dear viewer, I have something to say. They do weapon refines for Grail units. Xander is a freaking Grail unit. The only Grail unit that has been skipped, besides Small Azura so far in sequential order, was Ethlyn. And Ethlyn is a healer. So that's also, you know, their bias showing. Every other Grail unit, besides a dancer and a healer, got a weapon refine. That is glaring to me, screaming even, that they are intentionally skipping dancers. Why else would you skip Azura when you did the rest of the Adrift banner and she was the literal star of that banner? The next point in weapon refines is, well, Raisin and Leanne. So, beast units, very welcome addition to the game. Raisin and Leanne were introduced with Tabarn and, I am going to butcher her name so bad, Nyla, back in 2019 in January. Okay, so they're old. All of them are normal pool units. Tabarn got a weapon refine in April of 2022. Nyla has gotten her weapon refine December of 2021. Every beast unit that has been added into the normal pool, besides Raisin and Leanne, have gotten a weapon refine. Sequentially speaking, of course. Obviously, there's newer ones that haven't gotten it yet because they're newer and they have like a sequence that they go through. But Raisin and Leanne were skipped, whereas all the other beast units have gotten attention. Why were they skipped though? They were added in the same banner. They should have been refined around the same time, anywhere between December and April of 2021 and 2022. But did that happen? No, it didn't. And now, I'm sure what everybody has been waiting for me to talk about, the final nail in the coffin for weapon refines, is Fina. Fina was introduced back in September of 2019. She introduced to the game the rapier. You know, it was her weapon. Couple of months later, in April of 2022, we get Young Marth. You know, the 4-star feature of the Young Kids banner that has been prolific since. Okay, cool. He also has the rapier as well. The same exact weapon that Fina did. That might be a good sign. There's a character that is guaranteed for a weapon refine because Child Banner, like that, he is kind of like he's a seasonal. He was part of the trend that we were noticing. So maybe that means, Fina might get a chance. Fina might be the first normal season or non-legendary, non-mythic dancer to get a refine. And then lo and behold, this morning on November 1st, we got our answer that only Marth was going to be getting a refine for his rapier, meaning Fina was purposefully ignored despite having the same weapon as young Marth. Some of you might be thinking, counterpoint, well, okay, maybe they just wanted to focus on young Marth, make him special. Maybe they'll get to Fina at another time. I have a counterpoint. Eliwood and Brave Roy. Eliwood came into the game with the base Durandal. It was introductory, unit into the game. Brave Roy had an upgraded one, the Blazing Durandal. But when it came time for Roy to get his weapon refine, do you want to know what happened? Do you know what happened in Heroes? Eliwood got access to the Blazing Durandal refine. He got the same weapon refine as Brave Roy did. Obviously, it's a little bit of a different scenario because, Eliwood and Roy, they're family, the Durandal is kind of like an family heirloom type of weapon. But I'm using this as a point in they have given characters that have pretty much the same weapon the same refines. They purposefully ignored Fina in this weapon refine. So that's one point. Weapon refines prove that Heroes hates and ignores dancers, because those 4 points were very obvious ones that they could have done. Obviously, I would have loved to see all dancers get refines, but those 4 were like the key ones that should have gotten refines by now, but they haven't. The next point I want to talk about on how they're being hated and ignored from Heroes is skills. Skills are the bread and butter to this game. We have skill inheritance. We can steal skills from attuned and rearmed heroes without a care. And they'll still exist, and we get to make our older units more powerful. Great! Skill inheritance allows us to mold and shape these units into what we want. Do crazy things, and better yet, pull for the new fodder when it comes out. I want to make a point and say that dancers are being ignored in this aspect as well. They are blatantly being ignored. And you might be saying, but Pruitii, Peony. We'll talk about Peony. We'll talk about the new Peony, I promise you. But first, I want to make a comparison. I want to take staves, which, as I said earlier, are another one of Heroes' least favorite things to care about. I want to compare how many skills that are inheritable for dancers and healers. I'm not going to get into the older stuff of like Physics Plus and all of that stuff. I just want to focus on the new things that they've been introducing to kind of revitalize them, So, for healers, we have inheritable assists such as Nudge Plus, Return Plus, and Rescue Plus, where it does the heal and then it also does a move. Woo! Move! Yeah! Healers also have inheritable specials like Holy Panic, Light Restraint, and Holy Pressure. They also have inheritable skills. They have Odd and Even Recovery, Dazzling Shift, Dazzling Far Trace, and Poetic Justice. While I acknowledge a lot of these are new, especially like Dazzle Far Trace that was literally introduced like for the Halloween banner, I just want to make a point that there are options, although limited, to craft your healer in a way that you want. Dancers, on the other hand, let's talk about them. Inheritable assists, none. Inheritable specials, none. Inheritable skills, we have Rock Slide Dance and Firestorm Dance 3. Eventually, we might get more with Geyser, Caldera, Deluge, and Fire Flood being added, maybe. So you might be saying, hey, you got some options for dancers. And I acknowledge I'm comparing a weapon category to an archetype of characters, and I understand that. But the point I'm trying to make across is you can make a healer work with some of the new things that they've been introducing. Obviously, I understand that they are limited and exclusive, but there are options. There are multiple people with even an odd recovery. There are multiple people with poetic justice. There are multiple people with nudge plus and return plus. There are options. Expensive options, but options. The 2 dance skills that we have are on 2 exclusive units. Bunny Triandra for Firestorm and Attuned Peony for Rock Slide. Meaning if we wanted to improve any of our other dancers, we would have to focus on 2 limited release characters for 2 skills. Not even for an inheritable assist, not even for an inheritable special, for 2 skills that are B slots. It really shows a discrepancy in how you can build a dancer. If you want to build a dancer, you can't focus on buffing your dance. Sure, you can get Rock Slide dance and Firestorm dance, but you have to do other things instead. You can't have any unique assists that is inheritable. You just have dance. You can't have a unique special. You just have whatever special that your weapon type fits. You can't have a unique weapon from Weapon Refines. You have to deal with arcane weapons if you want dancers to improve. There is just such a narrow landscape of making dancers work in this day and age in Heroes that majority of the time you just focus on the new mythics, the new seasonals that they put out for dancers instead of paying attention to the giant catalog of dancers that exist. Just pull for the new one if you want a good dancer. The final point is, well, resplendence. And this one's a short point because I do acknowledge again that staff units are also being shafted in this because there's only 4 staff units at this time of recording that have resplendence, and there are a lot more dancers in the normal pool, but there are only 2 dancers that have gotten resplendence, and that was Zura and Ninian. A lot of the dancers that are in the normal pool and in the Grail pool were introduced in the early years of the game. While some of their arts are still nice, some of them definitely deserve a chance to be revitalized. Olivia. And they deserve the stat upgrades because these older dancers cannot compete with the new shiny fairies that they've been making. By only choosing 2 dancers to give resplendence to, Heroes is explicitly saying that they don't see the value in dancers in bringing in new Fay Pass subscribers, because that is what resplendence exists for. They exist as advertisement for Fay Pass, to get you in to buy Fay Pass for a month, to get your favorite unit as a resplendent. That's what resplendents are. Despite, the artistic merit and the other aspects of it, their main purpose is to advertise Fay Pass. And by only having 2, they're saying that dancers really don't matter. Let's look at all of the evidence again, shall we? We have resplendent heroes, which we just talked about. Dancers are being snubbed in terms of skills, and dancers are being explicitly ignored in Weapon Refines. I love dancing units. I have every single dancing unit in this game. Some of them are more built than others, but I wanted to build all of them. Why? They are important to me. They are important to the mainline games. They bring such utility into a combat-based game. They are an important archetype that matters to Fire Emblem as a whole. And Heroes doesn't recognize that. In my honest and truthful opinion here, I use the word hate a lot as kind of like a clickbaity thing. Do I really think Heroes hates dancers? Yes and no. No in the fact because they actually, are putting out dancers and doing things with dancers. But yes in the fact of I think they hate what dancers can do to the game. I think they hate the utility that dancers bring to the game, and they just don't know what to do with it. They are scared of it. In the mainline games, dancers are very important. Obviously, they give units another chance to go. It could be another chance to escape. It could be another chance to attack somebody or do some objective. Dancers bring that utility in the game. The maps in the mainline games are huge. Multiple tens of tiles that span across these large areas. In Heroes, the maps are small. With one good unit and a dancer, you could literally get that good unit to the other side of the map in one turn. The utility that dancers bring in Heroes is exorbitantly amplified because of the map size. If we had larger maps, like, every map was now like the Grand Conquest maps, then dancers' power level would kind of be the similar as like their mainline games. But as of now, dancers bring such utility into Heroes. Such utility. If you have one godly unit and a dancer, you could trivialize so much of the content in the game. You see people doing like one turn clears of these abyssal lunatic maps with a character that they crafted with such love and care. And they use dancers for it, obviously. Dancers could trivialize so many things in this game. Having so much power in just one base skill makes it kind of hard to balance, right? If you were playing at the time of Legendary Azura's release, you know what I'm talking about. Legendary Azura was the queen when she first came out. She dominated everything and everywhere because she had such utility. She was the first dancer that provided other things besides dance. She stayed strong for months and months and months, years even. When the philosophy of a gacha game, especially one like Heroes that releases so many new characters, is to have the meta change, grow, and evolve and entice people to spend money. But when people had Legendary Azura, in my mind, I think they needed to spend less money because they had such a supportive utility character that could make so many things work for them just because of one character that wasn't going to be affected by the meta as it grew and changed. She was stagnant in the world of change. I acknowledge that the game needs to evolve and change and grow, because if it didn't, the game would become stagnant. People wouldn't summon for characters, and no one would spend money on Heroes if it became stale and stagnant. The game would eventually fall off and Heroes would eventually be no more. But I think having such a prominent character like Legendary Azura last for so long scared them. She couldn't be manipulated by the meta. Sure, they did introduce things that might, crouch on it a little bit, like Milla and her assistance nullification thing, but they could not stop that. They could not stop Legendary Azura. Even when they added the fairies into the game, Azura still held strong as a key component if you wanted to play the game competitively. The fairies were just added to the arsenal of stagnant units that did not bend and break to the meta of the game. To this day, the fairies and Azura and Legendary Ninian, because she is the last of the legendary mythic group, are footholds in the meta. They are a key component of playing the game competitively because they are powerful dancers that have more things than just dance. In all honesty, Azura and the fairies didn't need their refines and remixes. But Heroes set up a precedent of giving remixes and refines to all of their legendary and mythic heroes, so they gotta follow on with that. I feel like that's one of the reasons why Azura's remix and refine did not live up to its full potential, is because they were scared of the shelf life she would have. Since they already have to juggle all of these mythic and legendaries, plus the attuned and rearmed ones they are introducing for the Tempest Trials revitalization of the Fairies book, they just do not know how to control the other dancers anymore. When they introduce new dancers into the game, they can control them. They can control when you can pull for the new fairies. Limit them. They're powerful, yes, but limited. Meaning you have to spend money still. You want a character that will last against the meta as it changes? You can only get them at this specific time. You don't know when they're coming back. They might not ever come back, who knows? They limit that. They limit the power of dancers so that people can still spend money to get those dancers, but they limit it. On top of that, if you want to maybe build up your older dancers, you know, maybe you're tired of trying to get one of the new ones, you just got unlucky when pulling. So you go back to one of your old dancers and you try to update them. The only way you can really update them, since they aren't getting weapon refines, is arcane weapons. And arcane weapons are limited. They're only limited time. They're not in the normal pool. You can't just get them whenever you want. They are not adding skills for dancers that are inheritable, like Nudge Plus, how they did with healers. Because if they did that, they wouldn't be able to control all of the other dancers that exist in the game. They'd rather control a small handful of dancers that they can choose to limit the power of and release as they see fit. They are doing this to ensure that these dancers that are very resistant to how they change the meta don't lose them money in the long run. That people will still pull for the new characters, that they don't need to just not spend money on the game. So if you want a dancer, you either pull for a new one that's limited time, or you deal with the quote-unquote plain dancers that you get from the normal pool that you can't really do much with except have dance. Do I think this is a good idea? Fuck no. I'm not saying I want dancers to be broken and run rampant and disrupt the balance of meta and make heroes die eventually. You know, I'm not saying that. I'm not asking for weapon refines or the skills even to be the level of mythics and legendaries or the seasonals or the attuned stuff that are just limited. I'm not asking for the skills that the fairies have been getting that are so fucking strong. I just want a little bit more attention, a little more care to an important class type that has been a mainstay in the game series that I love and cherish. I believe there is a way to balance dance without needing to limit and control the dancers like they are now. And guess what? They've already done it. They've already done it with Brave Marianne. Brave Marianne has Requiem Dance as her special. It's, well, her special that activates after her combat. Her combat. Gives another action to the ally with the highest HP that's near her. I think it's like 2 spaces or something like that. But it's limited after that. They can only move 1 space. This creation of a special dance allows Brave Marianne to be malleable with the meta. She has to initiate combat in order for that dance to trigger. And that dance has a condition of only 1 space. They are taking the skill that could literally send you across the map to 1 space. Essentially just saying, hey, you get to attack again. Instead of, hey, you can move across the map or you can disengage. And it means that Brave Marianne has to work offensively at the very least so that you can get that off. She has to be able to do some damage or at least sustain some damage, meaning that she can follow the trend of the meta and how new skills and new units are being introduced. But she still has the capability of refreshing another unit. Obviously, she technically isn't a dancer because she does not have the dance skill, but you see my point. They have the intellect to restrict dance in a way that both allows for growth, but also allows dance to not become something that destroys the meta of the game. They have that avenue, and they're not taking it. Instead, they choose to limit and control. How do we let intelligent systems know that they have the tools that they need to make dancers work without needing to control them and limit them like this? How do we let them know, besides screaming from the mountaintops, submitting, feedback reports, which I have been doing every single month since, oh gosh, was it since Legendary Azura's remix? I can't remember. I have been doing it every single month when there has not been a dancer refine. But how? How can we let them really know that we want dancers to receive the attention that they deserve, and they can do it in a healthy way? The answer? Azura for Choose Your Legends. Now hear me out. I bet some of you are typing in the keyboard being like, was this whole video propaganda for Azura? Yes and no, but it's a rant video, okay? Kind of wanted to have a point at the end. But why I'm saying Azura for CYL can make an impact is because, one, every single CYL winner has gotten a weapon refine. And CYL winners are in the normal pool, meaning that they have to kind of gauge it, understand like the importance of how the character plays in the game and what they bring to the table. They have to sit and think about it. I mean, some Brave units don't really need weapon refines, but they do it anyways because they know they can revitalize the Brave Heroes, because they know we care about the Brave Heroes, because we voted for them. If we get Azura as a Choose Your Legends winner, she is going to get that same level of attention. She is going to get that same level of care and thought put into her that other CYL winners have, and the understanding of how they actually affect the meta. It gives them time to sit and actually observe what dancers do for the game and how they can make a good dancer that isn't broken because she is in the normal pool. They can't limit her like they have been limiting all of the new dancers. They can't make her anywhere near as good as, like, they can't give her just Grey Waves 2, right? Because Grey Waves 2 is an exclusive dance skill that is very, very good, but only on Azuras that are limited time. CYL Azura would not be limited time. They would have to think and figure out this new age of dancers and how they can progress dancing as an archetype without having it become rampant and uncontrollable and scary to them. I believe it can happen. I believe that intelligent systems can sit down and figure out how they want dancers to progress and give them the attention that they deserve, including all of the old seasonals, and not needing to just limit them. And that the way we get that to actually happen is Azura for Choose Your Legends. You might be saying, why Azura? Why not Olivia? Because Azura has constantly been in the top 10 every single year for like the past couple of years. If we rally and we make our voices heard, that we want dancers that we can use, we can grow with, that aren't limited, they'll finally be able to hear us and understand that they can do so much more with dancers, and dancers deserve so much more than what we're being given. That is my rant. That is my feelings, my thoughts on how Heroes is treating dancers and how they're being ignored. What do you think? I have thoughts from people behind me on, what they think from my Discord on why Heroes hates dancers. But I would like to hear your opinion as well. Do you think Heroes hates dancers? Do you think I'm overreacting? It's very, very probable I am overreacting. I just really care about dancers, okay? Let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you guys so much for watching and subscribing. Keep fighting your battles, and I will see you guys next time. Toodaloo!